Good morning and welcome to A Moment with Hope with Upward Transitions. And today we have Patrick Raglow with us, who is the Executive Director with Catholic Charities. We are starting a little later today, but we're just going to move forward, and we're very excited to have Patrick with us today. And Catholic Charities is one of the agencies that Upward Transitions collaborates with, as we all work together in our community to meet the needs of some of the most vulnerable people that we have living in our counties. And actually, Catholic Charities serves multiple counties. But just to get things started, Patrick, tell us a little bit about Catholic Charities, its founding, and how long it served Oklahomans.
Well, Carla, first, thanks for bringing me on to this broadcast today. And thanks to all the listeners out there. We are really pleased to be a partner of Upward Transitions for so many reasons, and I look forward to exploring them more fully. But Catholic Charities began in 1912, so more than 110 years ago, 109 years ago, and it was an orphanage in Bethany run by a group of Roman Catholic sisters, nuns in habits, the black and white photos that everyone's familiar with. And it served, that facility lasted in service for nearly 5 decades. But over the years, as the needs in the community changed, the response of the Catholic Church to those needs in the community also changed. And so we added programs from time to time, programs to serve adults and programs to serve people in poverty, hunger, all those things over the years. And so today, Catholic Charities has 12 different social service programs serving across 46 counties of central and western Oklahoma. Our youngest client, not yet born in crisis pregnancy services. So we still continue the legacy of St. Joseph's Orphanage today. And our oldest client, 97, in sponsored senior housing. So we don't do everything along life's journey, but a little bit all along the way from conception to natural death. And we do counseling programs. We have immigration legal services, refugee resettlement, which we are the only resettlement agency in the state, homeless services, which we partner very closely with Upward Transitions, and many other programs that we are privileged to serve our community.
Yeah, and so in serving all these multiple counties in Oklahoma, how does that work? How's your process work today in meeting the needs of those clients in those counties?
So that's an evolving process, especially as we went through the last year of the pandemic, and we learned many, many things about how to engage through social media, like we're doing on this broadcast, but also through HIPAA-compliant means to do case management, counseling, or even immigration legal services on a secure video feed through your cell phone. So it helps many people because then they don't have to travel to the office to get service. They don't have to take as much time off of work or get the kids in daycare or any of those things. They can just connect on their phone from their location and still connect with licensed professional counselors or actual qualified certified attorneys in the state, or our case managers, our professional case managers. So they can access those services, but we also have offices with staffed offices with individuals that serve clients that come in through the door in Ardmore and Lawton. We are looking to reopen our Guyman office through Services in Woodward that would extend service to the Panhandle in Enid. We also have services in program service locations in Norman and Midwest City.
Yeah. So definitely Catholic Charities has invested in the lives of Oklahomans for a long time. They've been serving them for a long time. So in your communities that you're serving, or Oklahomans, what seems to be the biggest needs that you're encountering right now?
Well, one thing I'll say about the pandemic is everybody in the course of this pandemic over the last 18 months felt vulnerable for reasons outside of their control. And as you well know, Carla, that's who we serve and who Upward Transition serves all the time. And so perhaps people in Oklahoma will have an empathy for those who are feeling vulnerable for reasons outside of their control, not related to the pandemic, for poverty, for lack of education, for lack of access. for addiction, for mental health issues, for any of a number of reasons, that we reach out and are present to those individuals. So that's one perhaps outcome, a positive outcome that we may expect from this pandemic. We find transportation is a big challenge for those that are trying to re-engage. Catholic Charities is proud to be a part of the Chamber of Commerce and Rotary and those things, because while we can access our clients or help our clients access public support, whether that's housing or SNAP benefits or those things, and they're very, very important, very necessary, helping our clients reintegrate into a thriving economy is that next step to self-reliance, less dependence on others, that type of thing. And so helping folks reintegrate to the economy, but transportation is a huge issue for a city of our size.
Yes, and as many square miles as Oklahoma City even covers, it is a challenge. So speaking of poverty, how prevalent is that cycle of poverty in the needs of the people or the clients that you serve?
So a great question. And one thing that I have really tried to be intentional about is I don't like to say that Catholic Charities is here to end poverty, because poverty won't end. We could end it today, and then somebody will get cancer tomorrow, lose a job, have an accident, and so poverty will begin anew. So we don't try to end poverty, but what we do every day, and what Upward Transitions does every day, is limit the impact of poverty on those who come in our doors, and limit their experience of poverty and connect them to resources and get them out of that poverty. And so the cycle of poverty is profound, in generational poverty, in lack of access, in structural impediments to getting back on their feet. And so we try to address the whole person concept. And so we begin strengths-based strengths needs assessment for the clients that we come in, that we focus on what they have before we focus on what they don't have. And we try to build on their successes in an individualized, personalized plan to help them take those next steps. And what our idea of their next steps might be may not be their idea of their next steps. So we always do a client-centered and let them choose the path forward, because that's going to be a much more sustainable and much more effective approach. And then, as a faith-based organization, we believe the family is the basic unit of society. So we're not all free of beaming around out there. So everything that we do tries to strengthen the family, and not a predefined what the family looks like, but what the family they have. And so we try to strengthen the family, not just the individual. And when you strengthen the family, the individuals are much less likely to need outside assistance, because the family is
right. We try to focus as an agency here at Upward Transitions in the same way on families with children, because keeping those families in their homes is important, because when children become homeless, it continues the cycle, because it causes so much trauma and impacts their life on such a level that they are often at risk of becoming homeless, or that continuing that cycle of poverty. So it is so important to intervene in that cycle and build up that family to try to keep them in their homes. So, speaking of Oklahoma's poverty rate, we're like 5 percentage points above the national average of the poverty rate in the country. So what do you think is contributing to Oklahoma's rate there? Like, why are we higher than the rest of the country, you think?
So it's obviously a multifaceted problem. And I was born in Ohio, and I came to this great state of Oklahoma through my involvement at Tinker Air Force Base. So I'm a retired Air Force colonel. Now, Oklahoma is known in the military circles as a profoundly great place for military installations, warm and welcoming and all that stuff. And our state was the only state out of 50 that increased its military footprint in the base realignment and closure process. So we accessed federal dollars for the defense sector in many ways, for jobs, for all those other type of things, in a way that no other state was able to top. best state in the country to access federal dollars for the defense infrastructure. But Oklahoma has a little bit of cultural cooties against federal dollars for other non-defense, non-infrastructure, non-construction type of resources. As an example, only recently did Oklahoma expand Medicaid for its citizens 10 years after. And I understand all the philosophical arguments against Obamacare, as it was called. I get all those philosophical arguments. And many people would say, well, we ought to have a better conservative solution to such and such and such. But we didn't produce one.
Right.
For years, we didn't produce one. So we sort of have a little bit of we don't understand that the qualitative effect of accessing federal dollars in complement with the actions that we're taking in the state may raise up the level of those folks that we're serving and then require less federal dollars and state and local dollars because they're performing more effectively. And you can see an example of that precisely in the criminal justice reform efforts in our state.
Yeah.
It's just
helping people become productive citizens, contributing back to society again.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. I was curious what your thoughts were on that. So what do you think is the best way that we can impact the lives of those who are living below the poverty line or homeless? Do you think that there's something more that we could do if we had the support of the federal dollars, or is there some sort of legislation that is pending, or we could maybe somehow accomplish that would help?
So I don't want it to sound like I'm just saying that federal dollars are the answer. If dollars were the only solution to the problem, we'd have probably solved it a couple of $1 billion ago as a nation, right? But we've got these challenges. So it's the emphasis on the family. It's the emphasis on community. It's the whole person concept. If we keep aggregating the problems of individuals and we say, well, we'll fix this piece, or we'll fix this piece, or we'll fix this piece, we live our lives that way. We live our lives as integrated persons, family. So it's not ever just one thing. It's always a kind of combination of things. And so with 12 different social service programs just within our agency, we try to wrap around the different needs of that client in positive, constructive ways, but not only within our agency, but also partnering with Upward Transitions, or partnering with United Way, or partnering with other organizations across this state to wrap sufficient services around that person so that they rise to another level of productivity and capability and opportunity. And that's the best way, is that don't piecemeal it, but wrap it around.
Right. The whole person.
Mass around the whole person, around the family.
Yeah. Yeah. And, even considering the mental health component of that too, we have a deficiency as far as an infrastructure for mental health right now across our country. And unfortunately, I think a lot of our prisons are feeling that. We're just housing the mentally ill a lot of times in prison. So, I know that those topics, all those multiple faceted contributors to poverty and homelessness, I think there's a stronger voice. And I think the pandemic actually helped create this pause for a moment where actually voices were being able to be heard that hadn't been heard before. And so I'm hopeful and encouraged that perhaps we can come up with a better solution, to the case management that we are doing is the most effective way to keeping families in their homes, getting the homeless, into housing, and doing that. This wraparound type case management has been successful, and it's a positive thing in our community. So we work together. Can you share just a little bit about how Catholic Charities and Upward Transitions work together? And if you have a client story you'd like to share with us today, we'd love to.
Sure. Well, first of all, again, really pleased to have this opportunity to brag about our relationship with Upward Transitions and and celebrate some of the success we've joined together. I will credit Upward Transitions as the best in the state at the Travelers Aid mission, which is the origins of Upward Transitions. And there was some time where as Upward Transitions became Upward Transitions that did the Travelers Aid piece fit. But that's a special skill set, and it's always the call at 3 o'clock in the afternoon with a frantic family of 5, broken down or needing something, and it's not something my case managers do every day. So we're really grateful that Travelers Aid has retained that expertise. You are the best in Metro at what you do of connecting travelers in need, and that's always going to be a part, and I'm grateful of Upward Transitions mission. But last fall, to tell a story that we worked together, and again, the complexity of this whole thing, we had a client who was a military member in Lawton, and her mother was here with 4 children, other children of this, the one that was a military member, and sadly, very sadly, she contracted COVID and passed. And suddenly, these 4 children didn't have their mother, all that stuff, and they had moved to the state. They didn't have extended family. The military member reached out to us, and we reached out in turn with Upward Transitions. Upward Transitions assisted this family, and they brought somebody from South Carolina to reunite with these 4 children and then get them back to the larger family structure that they had in South Carolina. But it was Upward Transitions transportation sort of expertise that was necessary, the case management working with the military member, connecting her with resources, and of course the children that were traumatized by the loss of their mom, the inability to say farewell because of being in the hospital when you couldn't have visits. I mean, all of those trauma factors. So our counselors were involved, our case managers were involved, and a very sad story and a terrible one to share in the sense that it happened, but a beautiful story to share in the sense that as such things happen in life, Catholic Charities was able to be present to their need, and in partnership with Upward Transitions, be present to their need. So we were able to reconnect family, and we always work with them, connect those children back to a support structure that would support their ability to properly grieve and reconnect with family, and then in their own continued life journey. And the military member, the female soldier at Lawton, was able to sort of get back in the groove and get on with living her life again, always with the loss, but still with the hope and a path forward. So,
yeah, and bringing that stability is what we do to families. We help stabilize them in crisis when they're in crisis, and we love working with Catholic Charities, and that's the part that is so rewarding for doing the work that we do, is that we know that even though they have a long way to go, sometimes we're there with them on that journey. And we have people even check back in with us a couple of years later, and they're still in their homes, and their families they have a better job. They've received certain education or training that's helped them make a better salary. So the work that we do works. We are seeing improvement in the lives that we walk along this journey with them. And we're very fortunate to be able to work with Catholic Charities in the process. So this is where time's up today. And we just want to thank Patrick Raglow for being with us today. He's a special guest. We're really happy that we were able to coordinate this together with you and all the information that you shared with us today, and we appreciate it. So we look forward to seeing everybody next week, and Patrick and I will tell everyone so long. Thank you. Have a blessed day.